All right, this is a video that is going to go over the quiz answers from Unit 3 Quiz 4. So this was out of 10 points. To just go through that really quickly, number 1 was worth 1. Number 2 is worth 2. A is 1 and B is 1. Same for number 3. It's worth 2 points. A and B are each worth 1. Number 4 was also worth 1 point. And number 5 and 6 were both worth 2 points. So I'll explain how that breaks down once I get to those. So let's start with number 1. I'm asking you to do 4 different things here. So the first is to put it in standard form. So standard form means that the exponents go from highest to lowest. So if I rewrite it, I'm going to look at the highest exponent, which in this case is the 9. So I'm going to put this term first, negative 4x to the 9th. Next would be the 6. So I'm going to put this term next, negative 7x to the 6th. Next comes a 3. So I'll put this term next, negative 7x to the 3rd, and then the 2, negative x squared, and I have a 1 here. So this would be plus 3x and plus 8 finally at the end. The other 2 things I've asked you to do is to identify the degree. So the degree is just the highest exponent. So the degree is 9 because the highest exponent is 9. The leading coefficient is the coefficient on the leading term when it's written in standard form. So in this case, it is negative 4. And the number of terms just means we're going to count up the number of terms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms. And that's it. So now we're just adding like terms together. So I'm going to add, I actually don't have to distribute anything here. You can rewrite it. There's nothing outside of the parentheses, so there's nothing we need to distribute. So I would add my real numbers together. So negative 4 and negative 5 is negative 9. And then I'd add my imaginary components together. 2i plus 5i is 7i. And that is your answer. For part B, we actually do need to distribute this negative 2. So I'm just going to rewrite it without the parentheses. So this would be negative 6 minus 4i. I'm going to combine my real numbers. 11 and negative 6 gives me 5. And then I'll combine my imaginary components. So 5i minus 4i is 1i. And that is my answer. So those were each worth 1 point. And I tried to give partial credit on those where I could. Number 3, you're multiplying. So notice there's not an addition or subtraction sign between the parentheses, so that means we're multiplying. So the best way to do this is to just use a box. So I've got 6, this is a minus, I didn't write that very well, minus 5i, and this is negative 8 plus 5i. So I'm just going to multiply these through. I get negative 48. I've got 40i, 30i, and negative 25i squared. So negative 25i squared is the same as positive 25 because I squared is actually negative 1. So negative 25 times negative 1 will give me positive 25. So I'm just going to add my like terms together. I'll use this color. I think it'll be better. So I've got negative 48 and positive 25. That gives me negative 23. And then I've got my like terms 40i and 30i. One big mistake that I saw here is a lot of people tended to think that the 40i was negative, but notice you have 2 negatives you're multiplying by here, so that's going to give you a positive 40i. So if you had 10i or negative 10i, then you just messed up with a negative. So find where that is so that you're aware of it. But 30i and 40i would give you 70i. So that is your answer. And of course, you could answer 70i minus 23 as long as the positives and negatives are corresponding appropriately. So number 6, we're going to do the same thing. Negative 7, we've got an i, and then 1 minus 5i over here. So this is going to give us negative 7, positive i, positive 35i, and negative 5i squared. So again, this negative 5i squared is actually negative 5 times negative 1, which is positive 5. So I'm going to add negative 7 and positive 5, and I get a negative 2. And then I'm going to add my i's together. Again, I saw some negatives in the I terms. And so if you I had a lot of people answered 34, or negative 34i. So it should actually be 36i. And that is your answer. And of course, you can answer 36i minus 2 as well. Number 4. A lot of people multiplied the two polynomials, but if you look on your paper, it says to divide them. So that means that this 6x cubed term needs to go in this box here. So I'm just putting the first term here, and remember, I'm trying to figure out what multiplies by 3x plus 2 in order to give us this 6x cubed minus 8x squared minus 23x plus 4. So in order to get 6x cubed, I need to multiply by 2x squared. So 2x squared times 3x gives me 6x cubed. And then if I multiply those together, I'll get 4x squared down here. And I need a total of negative 8x squared. So negative 4x needs to add to negative 12x squared in order to get negative 8x squared. So you can kind of think about if I add these together, I should get this. Okay, and then we'll kind of work backwards from there. I'll just use different colors so you can see sort of the order of what that I'm working in. So 3x needs to multiply by what in order to get negative 12x squared? Well, that number would be negative 4x. And then negative 4x times 2 is negative 8x. I need negative 23x. So I need to figure out what could I add here in order to get that negative 23x, and the answer is negative 15x. So negative 15 and negative 8 gives us negative 23. And so in order to multiply to negative 15x, I need a negative, I'll change colors again here. I need a negative 5. And so negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. I had a lot of people put positive 10 here. But this should be a negative 10. Now we know that these two numbers don't match. So I've got negative 10. I need to get to positive 4. And I would recommend drawing the arrow so that you recognize which direction that's going to go. And this is where I saw a lot of people do some crazy things. So remember, we don't write the remainder as an R14, but instead it's written as a fraction. So 14 divided by what we're dividing by, 3x plus 2. So your answer is 2x squared minus 4x minus 5, which a lot of people got this far and then just recognized that that there was a remainder, or that the numbers didn't match or didn't subtract correctly. But the rest of that should say plus 14 divided by 3x plus 2. And that is your answer. All right, is number 5. There was a couple of different ways to do number 5, so I'll tell you about both of them. The way that I would recommend doing this first is seeing, okay, what do these three terms have in common? And I see that they all have an x squared. So I would take out an x squared and say, all right, this is x squared plus 7x plus 12. And then you could use your diamond and your box here in order to find the two factors. So x squared plus 7x plus 12 is a trinomial, so it's x squared times x plus 3 times x plus 4. So this is the answer. The other thing that you could have done, and I'll just do this in another color, a lot of people went straight from the diamond and the box, and they got an answer of x squared plus 3x times x squared plus 4x. So in this case, you could actually take out an x. Both of these have an x, and let's actually use a different color here. Both of these have an x in them, so you could take out an x and have x plus 3. Both of these also have an x in them, so you could take out an x again, x plus 4. So that's also x squared times x plus 3 times x plus 4. So if you answered this, you just needed to recognize that you could take an x out of both of those. So I gave one point if you either got to this step here or this step here, and the full 2 points if you could give me x squared, x plus 3, x plus 4, or I also accepted this as an answer as well. All right, and then number to be kind of similar. So we have a box here. You're going to plug in everything you know. We've got 4 terms. So if you have your graphic organizer in front of you, this is going to be factoring by grouping. So put all of this in here. We got, both of these have an x squared. Both of these have a -4. Both of these have a 2x and a 3 here. So I'll just double check x squared and 2x is 2x cubed. -4 times 2x is -8x. X squared times 3 is 3x squared. -4 times +3 is -12. So our answer is x squared -4 and 2x plus 3. And then all you need to recognize here is that this is a difference of squares, so that factors to x plus 2 times x minus 2, and then we'll keep our 2x plus 3. So this is your final answer. I gave you a point if you got to here. If you didn't recognize that this was a difference of squares, you can always use a trinomial to factor it, so x squared plus 0x minus 4, and then you'll just factor. So you want 2 numbers that multiply to -4x squared and add to 0x, which would be -2x and +2x. So we've got an x squared and a -4, so that should give you x minus 2 and x plus 2, which is exactly what we have down here. All right, if you have any other questions, feel free to come in and I'm happy to go over your specific quiz with you or another question, but this quiz will be available as soon as you'd like to take a retake. I just need to see that you understand what you missed. And that's it. All right, bye.